Hi, this is Ruth Royal for Youth Pledge for Employers, and I'm really delighted to be here today with Dawn Cross, who's HR Manager at Swiss Camplings. Hi, Dawn, lovely to meet you.
Hi. Yeah, hi, nice to meet you.
So, tell us a little bit about what Swiss Camplings does as an organisation, first of all.
Okay, so Swiss Camplings is a commercial laundry company.
Right.
And they have two sites. So they have one
Okay.
site at Patworth, Everard in Cambridgeshire, and they have another site at Great Yarmouth, of which we have about 260 employees.
Wow.
I know, but that's a mix of which about 60 salaried employees, and then the remaining hourly staff, and then we top up with agency as and when required.
Oh my gosh, that's a massive organisation. I'm guessing those sort of 260 people all do different jobs within the organisation. Would you talk us through a bit about the sort of different roles that people do?
Sure. So we have, as I said, it's surprising how many different roles we do have actually within Swiss Camplings. So if I start with a laundry operative, which would be somebody that works on the floor. It's sort of a manual handling type of role,
Right.
that would be working on a machine in different areas of the floor, but sort of working in sort of different sections of the business, sort of waffling a bit here, looking at if
Looking at
sorry,
it with no, that's fine. So
waffled a bit.
With the laundry operative, with those sort of laundry operatives, are they working on different machines?
Yes, they do. They work on they tend to start. It does take a little time to sort of learn the role, so you tend to sort of work on one maybe an ironer or one machine, understand that role, and then sort of move to a different role. So we are very keen to multi-skill as staff and get them working in different areas. So that's your laundry operative. We also have supervisors that look after the people on the floor. We have production controllers. We have so they're responsible for the supervisors running the people on the floor. And we also have a production manager and a factory manager. So that's generally the team within the factory. We also have a dispatch section. So we have dispatch operatives that are responsible for obviously everything going out. And we also have drivers. So we have a team of drivers on both sides. And excuse me, let me just turn that down.
Yeah, no worries.
And we have engineers, because you need engineers to look after the machines. So we have a team of engineers, and we have a engineer supervisor on each site, and a group engineer manager that looks after both sites. And then we obviously have our office backup team. So we have a commercial and sales team on both Patworth and Great Yarmouth, and they're responsible for driving sales, and looking after the customer, and making sure that we give the best service we possibly can. So we also then have just trying to think who else, what other sections do we have? An operations manager, operations director, financial. We have a financial team, so we have a team of financial, and we do our payroll on site as well. So that's all done. So there is quite a lot of different roles that all sort of work together as one team to obviously produce what we need to produce for the business.
It's a massive organisation, isn't it? So
it's huge, yes.
And I guess you don't think about it if you say you go out to eat somewhere, for example, or you go and stay at a hotel. You don't necessarily think about how everything you get lovely, fresh, clean bed linen.
Sure. So we do everything from obviously bed linen, towels, tablecloths, table linen. So
Yeah.
yes, it's we do the whole offering. So anything that a hotel, a holiday park would require, we can offer it.
Wow. And with the so with the different roles that you've got within your organisations, do people tend to join in any particular parts of the organisation? Do they tend to join as sort of like the sort of more the laundry operatives or into the office
Well, I
side
suppose
and
it
then
depends.
progress
It depends
through? Or?
on the individual's experience
Mhm.
and what they're looking for. I mean, ideally, we have ideally, you know, for an apprentice, we want them to understand the whole of the business. So we would look at them understanding the production side of the business, but also the operational side of the business. So it's important that they grasp, you know, how it is to deal at the sharp end of a customer, but also the sharp end of working on the ground and understanding what the role entails.
What sort of apprenticeships do you have there, Dawn?
We haven't got any apprenticeships at the moment, but it's something that we're very keen to work
Yeah.
towards. I'm very keen to bring some apprentices in, possibly a sort of an engineer apprentice.
Oh, fantastic! Like an engineering operative or
Mm-hmm,
something.
mm-hmm.
And I guess as well, your engineers probably get different experiences across all the different equipment that people use within your organisations. And it sounds to me like it's like a really great a really great place to be able to be, because you get all this different all that different experience, but yet you've got that all sort of in house and the support.
For
Do you
sure.
think that you're looking for people like to join when they join Swiss Camplings? Are there particularly qualities that you're looking for at all in terms of the people that you're recruiting? Are there any sort of softer things that you kind of look for alongside kind of perhaps harder skills?
Obviously, depending on the role that the person comes into the business. I mean, obviously, if you're bringing in an engineer, ideally a multi-skilled engineer, we need somebody that has that all-rounded experience of working as an engineer, so so they can sort of run with it, I suppose, rather than having to sort of train them. But you know, if we were looking to bring in let's just say a laundry operative, then the training is always given, and experience is always given. So we don't expect people to be able to, we like them to understand what the role entails, so because it is quite a lot of standing on your feet. So you are standing on your feet all day. So that can be quite tiring if you're not used to it. And it is, as I said right at the beginning, it's a manual handling role. So your shoulders can get quite tired. But once you get into the role and you work with the team, we've got a lovely group of people working here from all backgrounds and all cultures, which is fantastic because it's a real a mix and blend of different people and different cultures, and that's in itself is really nice.
Oh, that sounds to me like a lovely working environment in terms of having that wider team that's all very different, and a lot of diversity within teams is always really nice, isn't it, to see?
I think first and foremost, Swiss Camplings is a family business. So all of the brothers, well, 3 out of the 4 brothers work in the business.
Oh wow.
So we are very much a family independent business, and you do get that feel in the culture and how we conduct ourselves within the business. So I think first and foremost, I think that's very important to understand that we are very much, you get a lovely feel that it is still very much sort of independent and family.
And it's really good to understand as well, like you sort of mentioned there about the standing up, like to understand the format of roles. So actually, if you're somebody that hates sitting down at a desk and would rather be up on your feet and doing things, but yet still perhaps work, because you tend to associate jobs like that with being more outdoors, but potentially, you know, being able to do that, but in an indoors environment, you know, within a close team, it sounds like a great job. In that respect, I sort of wonder as well with your office teams, what sort of roles do you have in there? You've obviously got finance, you mentioned HR.
Yeah, so we have obviously finance, which is purchase ledger and invoicing and payroll, and we have the commercial team. So we have people that are customer accounts managers, or customer account assistants that go out on the road and meet with the customers regularly. We have stock takers that go and actually count the stock regularly on each site, and we have a sales team that help to drive sales as and when we need it.
And I guess it could be easy to sort of.
And you have me, sorry, I
Yeah,
forgot
of
about
course,
HR.
and you. Let's not forget you in HR.
Sorry, my HR.
That's, and I think as well, it's easy to sort of think of like sort of all office jobs together, but I'm guessing it takes very different skills to be on your sales team than it does to be on your finance team.
Of course, yeah, different skills, different skill set. I know somebody that wants to come and work in finance, attention to detail is very important. Need to be concise, need to be good at communicating by email. You need to be able to chase up, have a good telephone manner. So that's really important. Whereby sales, you need to be, again, you need to have good customer focus and be and with sales, you've got to enjoy what you're selling. I think that's very important. If it's something that you enjoy and love doing, then you are naturally going to get that business. And you've got to have a great rapport with your customers to build that, build the relationship and get the best from both parties.
I mean, I don't know what you think, but I think you need sort of quite a lot of confidence to work in sales as well, don't you? Which I know, and also as well, I guess it's important to remember that you can learn confidence too as well. It's not just you don't just have to innately be born with it, but it helps if you're outgoing and, like you say, like dealing with people as well. So Dawn, how did you get into HR? What's your sort of story in terms of how you ended up?
I actually fell into HR. I was working in hospitality. So I was, in my experience, I've worked in hospitality for about 20 years and I've ran pubs and restaurants of different sizes, Harvesters and Domes. I spent 8 years working for as a manager. And then my last role in hospitality was I was running a franchise actually operation. I was setting up a pizza and fast food operation actually in Peterborough, and it was unfortunately there wasn't enough footfall, so we made a decision that actually I would pull out of there, and I hadn't really decided what I was going to do next. And a colleague of mine was working for a produce company. She was the HR director, and she asked if I would come and join her in HR and training. So I sort of literally fell into it because I had, as a manager yourself, you tend to, we had very little HR then, and we were responsible for our own inductions and training and disciplinaries and grievances, all the things that fall into HR people. So in a way, it was great because it gave me a real foundation of what sort of corporate HR was all about, really. So, yeah.
And what might a sort of a day in the life of the HR manager at Swiss Camplings look like? What might an average day look like?
There is no average day. HR is all about your people, and unfortunately, it can be some of it can be very reactive. So you could be dealing with if you have an issue between a manager and employee, you might have to go and give some sort of support on dealing with that. What I love about this job is that yes, you've got your sort of bread and butter review, you're having to deal with your disciplinaries and grievances and your conflict and your absenteeism, but you've also got some really great projects that I'm working on for like employee engagement. So I've just completed an employee survey, so I'm feeding that back to all of the staff, all of the teams, looking at benefits, improving the benefit package. So I've just done quite a bit of work around what I feel that we should be offering in line with benefits, and that just went to the board yesterday. So hopefully that might get that. Well, it has been sort of signed off in principle. So all in all, so yes, it can be a HR manager. You can be you've got to have lots of balls in the air. There's lots, you have to be lots to do.
That multitasking is
so you've got
super important.
so you've got to be able to be comfortable dealing with people first and foremost, and you've got to be able to deal with lots of different people. lots
And
of
do you
different people
also
at
think,
different
because
levels.
I sometimes think with HR that people have almost got a misconception that it's a very fluffy job somehow, because actually I think HR, you have to be very robust and you also have to be able to cope with conflict,
Yes.
other people's conflict.
Yeah, you have to be able to dive in there and look at things very fairly and consistently. I think that's the most important thing. HR professional needs to be consistent, and they need to
Yeah.
be able to come across as being fair and reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just sounds like a really interesting job. It sounds like you don't have any sort of 2 days the same in your role. I wonder, Dawn, if you were to sort of go back and have a conversation with your younger self, starting
Mhm.
out on your career,
Mm.
what piece of career advice might you give yourself?
Was that's quite an interesting question actually, because I think what we tend to find is that we don't actually really find our feet or it takes quite a long time for somebody to find what they actually want to do. I mean, I actually trained as a beauty therapist
Oh, wow.
because I wanted to go on stage, but I trained as a beauty therapist. I did that for a couple of years, felt that wasn't right, went into hospitality, which is where I loved hospitality. It is hospitality, catering is a vocation. It's something that I've really enjoyed. But as you get older in life and as your priorities change, it wasn't the right thing for me to do when I wanted to have a family, which
Yeah.
is one of the reasons why I think I fell into HR. But so that's 3 career changes in my life. And I have young boys. Well, they're grown up young men now, and they're still struggling. You know, they're 22, 24 and 27. The 27-year-old was very focused and knew what he wanted to do. But my middle son, Zach, who is 24, still doesn't really know what he wants to do, but he did engineering. So he's gone down the line of CAD, of doing sort
Yeah.
of CAD design. And then my middle son, who's just graduated, has got a job in finance working in London, but he's not sure that that's what he wants to do. So I think for a young person, don't be afraid to try different things, because
Yeah.
there are so many different types of jobs out there now that a few years ago there weren't. There was a job that my youngest son was interested in, was going to cricket matches, I mean big cricket matches, and working out the odds. Who would have thought it? Do you know what I mean? Who would have
Yeah.
thought that there was a job for a young person doing that?
Oh,
Because
that's
he did
amazing.
economics, so
Yeah.
clearly, they needed him to use his economics uh,
Wow.
to work that out. So what I would say to a young person is that there are so many different opportunities out there, and just take your time to find what is right for you. Don't be frightened to change jobs if it isn't the right thing for you.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And I think as I was sort of doing with your reflection on your career, like you say, you've had 3 different careers, and I think many of us have had similar
Yeah.
trajectories. And sometimes I think you can feel a pressure, can't you, when you're younger, to feel like you're picking your job.
Mm.
When you're thinking about careers, you're picking your job forever. And actually, most people build on the skills that they've got from one thing and take it to another thing. But
Sure.
it sounds like you've had such an interesting journey into where you're at, and sort of obviously that experience of hospitality as well. Do you think that that's helped you, like the skills that you've got in other jobs, do you think you've been able to transfer those into your
Of
new job?
course, yeah. All of your skills that you take, whatever role you take on, are transferable. So,
Yeah.
I do feel that I'm very fortunate that I think what it does bring to the table for me is that first and foremost, I'm a manager. I know how to manage because I've
Yeah.
done it, and I've done it for a long time. So I'm used to working with lots of different managers, really. So yeah.
Oh, Dawn, well, that's been absolutely brilliant to meet you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Hopefully it was useful.